This is my first time doing this on the YouTube. My mom told me, or suggested, my mother suggested that I get a YouTube channel and do this. And I thought, man, I had a YouTube channel. I just didn't know I can do this on YouTube. So, hello, everybody on YouTube. I am Omar Rael. I am a representative of one of the original people found here in the United States of America. Because if you look up the Webster's 1863 or any other older definitions in America before these people got here, or anybody else, there were various copper colored natives that were found here. Even if you look up the old crayon in red, it is a copper color. I say we were described as various copper colored natives. Okay. So my point for this first video was to dig. I got this book a few years ago from a woman who's very special, near and dear to my heart. Thank you, Mama Wilson. And she opened up my eyes to the history that I didn't know. And I didn't understand that what I was taught was able to be proven indifferent. Okay. So if you have what we have in the background, I mean, we can see the title of this book. And it was written by J.A. Rogers. Okay. Copyright 1965. Okay. It was $1.95 originally. And J.A. Rogers said and wrote that a few of our U.S. presidents back in the day they were depicted as different. Okay. So they they said the difference. Notice the woolly hair. It says at the bottom. But there was another famous man in history that had skin that was like bronze or copper colored and woolly hair. And he didn't old honest Abe. His face changed. It got a little bit lighter. See, back in his day, they said that he looked like this, and they called him Abe the Arab. Notice his woolly hair. Okay. Oh, there's another name of a president that we didn't know had woolly hair. Okay, Jackson was the son of a white woman who had intermarried with a Negro, and the only way that was legal, and the only way Andrew Jackson could have been president, is if that Negro, so-called Negro, was a free Negro. So there were even two different social sectors going on back in those days. There were Negroes that were slaves, and then there were free Negroes. But when you intermarried, as people do, because love conquers all, people notice the features. And then those features disappear because that hair does not look woolly to me. And that skin does not look copper at all. But, you know, I'm just a person that digs through history because I am attempting to find our story in his story. I'm one of those woolly haired people, and I want to know because, according to the placemats and the history and the books that I've been taught and my kids are being taught, there's no copper colored, woolly haired people that were ever in charge or the president of this. I mean, this is old, but George Bush, there was a couple of presidents after him. We got to give Barack Hussein Obama, we got to give him some love. But according to J.A. Rogers in 1965, there were five presidents that, had dark blood. And we know the one drop law. So we said Abraham Lincoln, we said Andrew Jackson, Vice President Andrew Hamilton. Did you know? Vice President Hamilton was said to be a Negro, while United States Senator from Maine and attacked from the floor because of his dark skin. Did your history teacher ever tell you about Andrew Hamilton's dark skin? Dark skin means it was non bleached, non blackened. If you look up the original definition of black, it means to be bleached, whitened in the sun. But we know that definitions as well as faces have changed. But we have the ability to look back into the time in the history, and we can also apply our knowing in the future. So, Hamilton from Maine, a man from Maine, had dark skin. In his 1860 campaign, he was outspoken against slavery more than Lincoln. We did not hear that in Long Island schools. I would have been a fan of Andrew Hamilton if I had heard that he fought for Negroes also. But of course, if he took it personally if his skin was dark. Succession and the leader of Charleston, South Carolina, Mercury said Hamilton is what we call a mulatto. He has black blood in him. The northern people elected that man in consequence of his peculiarity, and they designed to place over the South a man who has Negro blood. See, they thought it was all about race when it wasn't. It was about right and wrong. But that's just my opinion. I'm just one of those dark people that are trying to search for the truth. Okay? For the boy Hannibal, and your price is reasonable, we'll purchase him. Wow. They even disrespected the man. Okay? As we continue forward. Warren G. Harding. Shortly before 1920, finally we're into the 1900s. The Democratic Papers. Harding was a Negro. Sometime before that, however, millions of misgraphed broadsides have been distributed saying Harding's father was George Tyson Harding, obviously a mulatto. He has thick lips and rolling eyes and chocolate skin. Everybody loves chocolate. uh, and that his mother, Phoebe Dickerson, a midwife whose ancestry little was known, was white. So she might have been one of those original slaves that came to America because the original definition of a slave was applied to Slavics from Europe. And those were the first slaves ever in America, way before there were any black slaves. But you don't want to enslave people that look like you. That's how it goes. 250,000 copies of the President Wilson inaugurally ordered, stuff destroyed, thereafter were distributed by hand and also appeared in the book by William Eastbrook. It seems like people are ashamed to know that a person with dark skin could be a good leader. So they want to hide it. They try to hide it. Now that right there, even in a black and white photo, you could tell by the curls of that hair that that man is a brother man. Hamilton was darker in color than his picture shows, but note his woolish hair. Yeah, you can't deny the woolly hair. You cannot deny the woolly hair. Alexander Hamilton, Caucasianized. Look at how they changed it. This book is telling you the whole point of what I was trying to show to you is look at how they change you. They'll take your original photo and your kinky curly hair, and they'll straighten your nose out and straighten your hair out and thin out your lips. And that's the New York Public Library collection. That's a lie. And that's the truth. You see what they do to us? Okay, so maybe that explains why there's no dark faces on this whole chart of presidents. Because these people are ashamed of people that have the same skin color as me, the same hair as me. That is so petty and so ignorant that it makes me sick. It makes me sick. Let's see the information. Where we gonna go first? Let's see. Abraham Lincoln. Where's Lincoln at? They should have. They didn't put. They put it in number order. Okay. They put it in number order. All right. There was a president before George Washington. Did you know that? His name was John Hanson, and there was no argument about what race he was. John Hanson was that got up to the title. Okay. And there were actually more than 5 Negro presidents before George Washington. And John Hanson is just one. His, I believe his death date is coming up soon. I apologize for not knowing the information offhand, but if you look up the name John Hanson, you can find some information. He was the first president of the United States, not George Washington. And John Hanson was inarguably a copper colored, woolly haired man. Did you know that there were more dark presidents other than Obama? I wouldn't tell you no word of a lie. And the truth is love. And from Amor Rael, peace and love.